Every day, there seems to be a new endurance event popping up somewhere around the world, all designed to test an individual's limits, but all have their own unique twist. In 2013, I travelled to the US to compete in the inaugural Spartan Race World Championships, where I was lucky enough to place second and fell in love with the sport of obstacle racing. And today, I get to relive that experience here on home soil, competing against some of the world's best racers in an event first of its kind in Australia, the Spartan Stadium Race.
Typically, when we hear someone say Spartan, we think of strong, fearless, agile warriors who were well known for being the bravest soldiers. It was a common thought that one Spartan was worth several men of any other state. They pushed their bodies to their limits in order to become the ultimate warriors. Many of the Spartan values and ideals of the past can be seen today on the Reebok Spartan Obstacle Race. One of the many obstacle races around the world, the Spartan Race utilizes many different elements of fitness and physicality to push its warriors to their limits, combining CrossFit, endurance running and obstacles to challenge their competitors, with lengths ranging from a 7-kilometre sprint course all the way through to a full 42-kilometre marathon ultra beast. The Spartan Stadium Race is the first of its kind in Australia. And what better fitting venue than Sydney's ANZ Stadium? This year's sprint race attracted the likes of obstacle racing elites Ryan Atkins from Canada and John Albon from the United Kingdom, as well as some of Australia's finest, including Matt Murphy and Lachlan Danzy. Let's see how Matt shapes up against some of the world's fiercest competitors.
To discover your strengths and find out what your weaknesses are, I believe is really important in the endurance sport world. So when a new event comes up that I can test these out, I'm always keen to give it a go. That being said, an event comes along every now and then that really captivates you. An event that gives you that extra drive and determination to make sure that you can do your absolute best in. That event for me is Spartan Race. What I love about these events is the challenging obstacles, the atmosphere, and also the accountability that you need to face when you don't complete an obstacle of having to do 30 burpees. So in 2013, when I heard that Spartan Race was holding their World Championship event in Killington, Vermont, I had to make the pilgrimage over to the US to be a part of this amazing event. The last time I'd been to the States was when we were over there for filming for Series 1 of Search4Hurt, when we caught up with unbeatable Spartan racer, Hobie Cole.
We're gonna make you hurt, that's what you're looking for.
2 years later, heading into World Champs, Hobie was still unbeaten. Armed with some of the tricks that he'd taught me in Series 1 of Search4Hurt, I'd set my eyes on the prize to see if I could challenge the master himself. I arrived in Vermont prepared as I was ever going to be for what would be the hardest race I had done to date. I put everything on the line, and out of a host of international races, I was a few minutes behind the still unbeaten Hobie Cole.
Oh, wanna come? Second. All right! Yeah!
I cherish the memories of that race, and I'm really proud of what I was able to achieve. Now I have the opportunity to run a fresh take on the Spartan Race on home soil. To add to that, the field is made up of some really strong homegrown talent, but also some world-class competition. I'm eager to see who's going to be best on the day. Is it an ex-world champion, an Aussie warrior, or a complete unknown? I'm on the 6th floor of Sydney's iconic ANZ Stadium. With the race only moments away, myself and the other competitors are called up to the start line. The competition's really tough today. We not only have the best competitors from Australia, but also internationally as well. Pair that up with an unfamiliar racing environment like ANZ Stadium, and we've got a pretty interesting day out.
All of you have won races, all of you have earned the right to be here. Yeah, there's 5,000 people waiting to step up behind you. You are the first because you're fast and you want to win.
This is the first race of its kind in Australia, so preparing for this was preparing for the unknown. But I feel that I've done a pretty good job to hopefully take out the title.
Are you ready?
The only thing I can do now is run my own race and do my best.
Get ready, go!
The start was really fast. I knew that it wasn't sustainable, so I dropped back just a touch so that I could have something left for the end of the race. Ryan and John hit the cargo climb, which is the first significant obstacle for the race. So I think the pace that they went out at might have been just a little bit too intense because they started to slow quite dramatically after that. I'm not that far behind. I'm in 3rd place and I could feel myself catching them quite quickly. The cargo net's fairly loose, and I find the best way to attack it is that you just jump and roll. That way, you've made it most of the way relatively quickly, but you also conserve energy to get out the other side. With obstacle 1 done, I can't even see Ryan and John. Fitting 7 kilometres into a stadium race means that there's a lot of twists and turns, so they're out of sight very quickly. Next point at which I see both the guys is on the 2nd obstacle. The Herculean hoist is another major Spartan obstacle. In this case, it's a 40-kilogram sandbag that's attached to a rope and a pulley system at the top. To successfully complete the obstacle, you need to pull on the rope, get the sandbag to touch the pulley system at the top, and then lower the sandbag down slowly. I've arrived at the obstacle, and Ryan is absolutely smashing it. His upper body strength has definitely given him the upper hand on this one. I've almost completed the obstacle, and I noticed that Lockie Danzy is right behind me. And if I don't get moving, I'll be put straight into 4th. John and Ryan hit the cargo net neck and neck, 1st and 2nd place. I'm not far behind, and Lockie's right there in 4th. One slip, and it could be disastrous. At the top of the cargo net, the true meaning of a stadium race shows itself. Stairs and chairs everywhere. After a few hundred metres of running, we hit the sandbag carry. This was set in the highest part of the stadium with the steepest stairs and the sandbag weighing around 30 kilos. They couldn't have put it in a better spot. This is where Lockie made his move. He was absolutely flying. I thought I'd done some weight training on stairs, but you can clearly see that he'd done a little bit more than all of us. It was the same story on the final descent. He was absolutely smoking. He went past Ryan like he was standing still. So with Lockie's push at around the halfway point, the field has been reshuffled. With John in 4th, myself in 3rd, Ryan in 2nd, and Lockie with a strong lead in 1st, now it's time to head into the balance beams. A really simple obstacle in theory, but the key to this is take your time and make sure that your balance is on point. You let any part of your body touch the pavement once you've started the first balance beam, and it's 30 burpees for you. This could see your so far successful race turn into an absolute nightmare. Lockie, myself, and Ryan make it through unscathed. Jonathan, on the other hand, may have rushed it just a little bit. So he falls off and it's 30 burpees for him. The tightly knit top 4 has now turned into the top 3. With Lockie in 1st, Ryan in 2nd, and myself in 3rd, and John, unfortunately, now back in 6th. Ryan and I enter the stadium together, and if I'm going to have any chance of catching up, I need to go now. Spartan Race calls this obstacle the stair hop. It's where a small power band is placed around both ankles and you need to complete a small circuit of the grandstand. It is absolute murder on the calves. As you can see, this obstacle really limits the amount of control you have over your body. Lockie still has a big lead on Ryan and myself, but if there's any obstacle that could possibly defeat him, it could be the spear throw. Which, lucky for me, he did fail. The spear throw has the highest fail rate out of any Spartan obstacle. You mix a really high heart rate with your body being absolutely punished, and now you need to throw a spear through a tyre that's around 7 to 10 metres away. Your chances are going to be pretty slim. If I can pass this obstacle, I'll clearly move into first place. And of course, both Ryan and I missed the spear throw. Lockie, he was around 15 burpees in front, and it looks like he's going to keep his lead unless he fails another obstacle. Ryan gets through his burpees quicker than I do. Now I'm sitting in third place, and I'm going to have to dig super deep to be even able to catch up. I haven't seen Ryan or Lockie since the spear throw, so fingers crossed they haven't put too much time into me. But after I exit the underground portion of the stadium and I get through the barbed wire crawl, I notice briefly that I've caught Ryan. Ryan and I approach the box jump. I get out my first 4 box jumps, and then I hear one of the judges count Lockie's 15. It's starting to look like I might not have enough time to catch up. Lockie makes it to the rope climb with a huge lead. He's simply in and straight back out. Not long after, I make it to the rope climb. It's all about technique. Using a good leg lock method will save you a lot of time and energy. Ryan approaches the rope climb. The gap between us is increased, but it's still pretty tight. He's straight up, straight back down, and out of there. John is closing the gap really fast. He's moved from 6th all the way to 4th, and he's catching Ryan fast. Lockie was the first one to reach one of our very last obstacles, the monkey bars, but this time they were a little different. The monkey bars start off just like any normal set, but the last 5 runs are on a 45-degree angle where you need to touch a rope and then slide down the rope. Your upper body strength on an obstacle like this is super important. Not only when they're just flat monkey bars, but as soon as you add an incline in, your upper body pulling strength needs to be very strong as well. The last thing that you want to do this late in a race is 30 burpees. Lockie roars into the last obstacle, the sled push, with no hesitation whatsoever. He's more determined than ever to take first place. I'm not far behind him at all, but it's starting to look like I'm going to finish up in 2nd place. That doesn't deter me though. I give it absolutely everything because you never know what can happen. I can feel first place slipping through my fingers, and with around 5 metres to go on the sled push, I can see Lockie turning the corner and crossing the finish line. A well-deserved win for a great athlete. Finishing so close always makes you think, could I have done anything extra out there to maybe make a few more seconds?
Oh, super happy. I just did a few things that I could have pulled. I think I could have pulled a win off. It's just hard to know that you had a bit more. So, lesson at home, don't leave anything out there.
Not too far behind me, Ryan finishes in third. And then not too far back is John in fourth place, even after those burpees, which just goes to show how much the burpee penalty can alter your final race result. Well, it's almost a week since the Spartan Stadium event, and Ryan, John and myself, we've come down to barefooting. Take it away with, I guess how it all unfolded for you.
Yeah, it started hard and fast, and it was only a 6 kilometre course, so we kept that intensity up throughout. I failed the balance beam and then got dropped back quite far. And after that point, the heat got to me and I was just completely knackered, so just came in, managed fourth in the end, so I was quite happy.
It was a fun race. I've never done a stadium race or a lot of those motions or never raced them, so it was kind of cool.
You've obviously both travelled a long way to come all the way here to Australia. I guess what are the detrimental effects of travelling short turnaround time to races?
Well, yeah, I landed at about noon the day before the race, so I didn't even have 24 hours on the ground before I was racing at 7 a.m. the next morning, so it was definitely a quick turnaround. Biggest effect was the heat on me. I just was not ready for that.
Obviously, John, number 1 at Spartan World Champs, Ryan, number 2 at Spartan World Champs. Do you feel that just from racing so much together that you've learned a lot off each other?
Yeah, I've certainly learned a lot off hanging out with Ryan. Especially my strength could be improved a lot, so I think that's an area I'm going to start working on definitely over the summer. But try not to lose the running training as well, just try and build it in.
Yeah, John seems to go uphill a bit better than me, and I have not as much trouble on the obstacles, so I could probably stand to lose a bit of strength in the process, drop a few kilos to make some of the hill work a bit faster. So maybe we meet in the middle.
We were just talking earlier that you guys raced together at OCR World Champs as part of a team.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to run the race together, because obviously we'd competed the day before, and then the next day we were just best buddies and we were going around together. Normally I'm alone on courses, so to be going along together to see them go over the obstacles, how they approach things differently. Yeah, it was great fun.
Meeting like-minded people who are also very fit and passionate about the sport. You get along well and you like to hang out together. So I've been doing endurance events for long enough that you can't hate your competitors, you just end up being friends.
When we come back, Matt hits the surf with the boys, and then it's off to the Spartan Masterclass.
So we're a couple of days post Spartan race. Jonathan and Ryan have stuck around for a few days on the Central Coast due to that we have the OCR Masterclass on the weekend, and we've brought them down to McMaster's Beach on the Central Coast because we have a little surprise for them. Travelling the world to compete is an awesome opportunity for any athlete, but it's usually hard work that gives you those opportunities. That being said, sometimes you just need to take a step back from training and just soak up what the culture has on offer. What better way for John and Ryan to experience this than by hitting the beach? So how did you guys pull up after the race on the weekend?
Got a little bit sore, but it's all good. It's a fun race.
Have you ever surfed before?
Only a little bit, but looking forward to doing it today.
Well, you shouldn't have too much trouble because it's not really very big today, so I reckon there's a good chance that you'll get up. So we had Amy come down from the Central Coast Surf Academy with the learner boards, and then we had to fill out the necessary paperwork. So we head for the beach, and I can tell that the boys are getting nervously excited.
I've tried loads of death waivers in the past couple of years for racing, but I didn't think I'd ever have to do it for surfing.
Amy takes us through the basics, most of all where the rip is, and then she takes us through our paddling position, where our feet need to be, and how we pop up. The boys have got it covered, so now it's time to hit the surf. I'll paddle out with John and Ryan, not too far behind me. First wave comes through, lucky enough I'm straight up. And then I'm straight off. Out of nowhere, John just pops straight up and looks completely like a natural. Whereas Ryan, on the other hand, he's not so successful. it was just wipeout after wipeout. I wasn't having much luck out there, so I decided to paddle on in, with John not too far behind me, but his board was actually in 2 pieces. Although the session was cut a bit short, pretty confident that John and Ryan had a great time.
That is pretty good.
One of the major draw cards with any sport that gets my attention is the community that surrounds it. When you get a group of active people all coming together with a common interest, you can really learn a lot from each other. So when Max from Spartan Race asked John, Ryan and myself to be mentors for the masterclass, I was absolutely thrilled. Usually when people sign up for a training session with me, I guess they're signing up for a ton of hurt. But today, I'll leave the hurt stuff up to John and Ryan. Today, my goal is to get as much knowledge into people as I can in around a 1-hour tutorial. And load are all increasing, but you're a lot smarter than you know. A performance indicator for me is Tabata push-ups every 10 days. One of the most beneficial things that I think should go in a training program is performance indicators. For me, something as simple as 30 pull-ups for time, month by month. If I'm going faster, then obviously I'm getting stronger. If I'm going slower, then I'm getting weaker. It doesn't matter what your performance indicator is as long as there's something there that keeps you motivated. Performance indicators are an absolute must. With the theory part done, we all split up into 2 groups. I head off with John so that we can get stuck into the interval training session.
We're going to be running some interval sessions because that's one of my favourite things to do for speed work.
The idea of this interval session was to run 400 metres at around 85 to 90% effort and then 100 metres recovery jog at around 50 to 60% effort. The goal on the 400 metre effort is to have it just hard enough that you can still just jog on the recovery.
99, 139.
This way we're challenging the body to complete active recovery.
Hey, come on, to there, to there, to there, to there, to there.
As you keep pushing all the way to the line. It hurts. I mean, if I was doing this run, I'd cross the line and I'd be going, I'd be practically nearly being sick.
Absolutely, I'd have a baby before I'd do this. Absolutely.
I don't think I would. Well done, guys.
Back to the top of the hill, Ryan has the group doing a really tough set of hill repeats. Ryan's circuit is set up to simulate the body's feeling of going from a running component in an obstacle race to a strength-based component in an obstacle race, and then straight back to running. By combining the short running laps with the hill, with the bodyweight strength exercises, the body's getting a really close feeling to what it feels like in an obstacle race. The past week has been incredible, to say the least. I've run a new event against world-class races and even managed to get a podium.
Second place, it was an absolute battle. If he Search4Hurt's man Murphy, well done, matey.
I got to hang out with 2 world champions who love obstacle racing just as much as me. I was fortunate enough to even have some time to share some Aussie culture with the boys in exchange for learning what they had to offer at the masterclass. I'd hoped to take out the inaugural Spartan Stadium race in my own country. I'm far from disappointed when losing to the beast of a man, Lockie Danzig. I'm sure our paths will cross again, and when they do, there'll just be a little bit more to race for. I guess it's taught me, no matter how hard you train or how bad you want it, don't expect anything, but only give it your best.